Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the people that make the sneaker history community and this podcast possible. It's more important than ever to think about who you give your money to when you're buying clothing to go with your kicks. Our friends at Guilty Goods started their brand with a goal of giving back, especially to the communities that make sneaker culture possible. With every purchase from Guilty Goods, at least 10% of the proceeds are donated to organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Movement for Black Lives, and many more. You can save 30% on your order by using the code HISTORY at guiltygoods.us. Again, that's history at guiltygoods.us for 30% off, and you can feel good about your purchase knowing you're supporting a meaningful cause. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop-side cases to showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe, the whole shoe. They've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days. He's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community. You can save 10% on your order by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and if you join the Discord, you know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. After you're done listening to this episode, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Now let's get into today's episode.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a move! James with no regard for human life. Final seconds. Bryant for the win.
Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
What up, what up? Welcome back to the Sneaker History Podcast. My name's Nick Engvall, and I'm with my guy, Robbie Falke, to talk some movie sneakers today. How's it going, man?
I'm good. I figured since we all should be inside right now, so might as well go over some shoe-related movies, or maybe it's movie-related shoes, however you want to think about it. But we're going to be going into some movie criticism, even a little bit, you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're going to hold back any love or hate for any of these films, so... but I will say we're going to lean probably more towards like old school. So people should understand that there's a lot of gems in here that you might not know exist, I guess is the best way to put it.
I have a hard time thinking of many many movies I don't like in our list. And a lot of them are old. So this is definitely going to be a history lesson on levels today.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into that, you wanna read a review?
Yeah. So I believe we haven't done Coat Wolf, right? I don't think we have.
I don't think so.
So Mr. Coat Wolf or Mrs. Coat Wolf, best sneaker podcast out there. Great guys, great personalities, great discussions and topics. I'm always looking forward to the next episode. Can't ask for much more besides more episodes. Keep up the excellent work. Really appreciate that. That's fair. We'll keep trying to have more content, especially with, the coronavirus going around. Maybe we'll have more time to make more, but we appreciate you enjoying and consuming all these episodes.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, there are 105 other episodes to listen to as of this recording. So if you're just joining us and you're new to the podcast, make sure you dig a little deeper on your favorite
podcast platform to see what we talked about in past episodes. And as always, if you have ideas or want to hear us talk about certain things, hit us up on Twitter or Instagram as well with that. So,
well, before we get too far into it, what was the last shoe you rocked then? Since it's not like rocking and coppin', it's like rocked and coppin'.
So today I wore the Kith or Ronnie Feig United Arrows New Balance 997. I actually just posted it on my Twitter account, but it's probably my favorite. I think it's actually my favorite New Balance shoe I've ever owned, for sure. But the cool thing about that shoe was that it was like paying homage to a shoe that released like, I don't know, 2007 or 2008 or something. And I originally wanted to get that shoe, but back then it was so difficult to get your hands on shoes that only released in Japan without a connect or without a, like a legit contact that could get it for you. It just wasn't happening. And I wear a size 13, so there wasn't a whole lot of bigger shoes. But I actually like the way that Ronnie and Kith flipped the colors and threw some black on there. It's just more wearable for me than an all gray shoe. So that's what was on my feet today. How about you?
Well, On Running was very nice to send me a couple pairs of shoes. So I've been making myself wear them. And it's the Cloud Stratus is the one I've been wearing the most. 2 days ago, I would have heavily leaned into that verbiage of make myself. But since then, I really like wearing them. Like this really clean pistachio and like magnet gray colorway of the Cloud Stratus. And they're super comfortable. The up top down looking view, they look really clean. I just still have my reservations about the way the windows look on the tooling. Like the On brand is known for those holes on the side of the shoe. And it definitely feels good. When I'm not looking at it, I love it. But visually, it's still not my favorite. But I'm enjoying them way more than I thought I would have. I thought this would have been a never rock. But I thoroughly enjoy wearing them. It's kind of weird. But here we are.
Yeah. I think that. So obviously, like I'm kind of a weirdo when it comes to shoes because I like trying like everybody's stuff, even if I don't think like the visual of it or the aesthetics are as appealing as maybe some other brands, because I always want to be. My whole thing is like if you're going to listen to me talk or write or do anything around sneakers as someone who as someone who you get your information from, I always want to be trying all of these different things out there, because if I'm going to tell you that, like, let's say this shoe, shoe A is the most comfortable shoe I've ever worn, I want you to know that I've also worn, tens, 20, dozens, hundreds of other shoes to be able to compare that. So like my opinion is kind of validated by what you see pass through on my feed and what I share on social. So, anyway, like, I think that like On is really fascinating brand because they've become very popular in like this really interesting crossover between like running and sort of, I don't want to call it like fashion running, but like more aesthetically running, I guess. And I think like it's interesting because I had the same, kind of thought when I first got a pair years ago. And now the way that their design has evolved, I'm like really into a couple of the silhouettes, like just the way that they do like the fade on the Cloud Flow. I think there's like a yellow and a black to gray or whatever. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm off on a tangent here, but I just highly encourage everybody to try different stuff. And I think like you trying it and being like, damn, this is comfortable is like proof that like you should get outside of your comfort zone some to experience some of these other brands, because you never know what's out there unless you do, right?
100%. And once this coronavirus thing kind of goes away, Their headquarters here in Portland, so I plan on going out there and seeing more behind the scenes stuff. But I'm just excited because I got a pair of Cloud Rock like climbing boots, like mountain boots, and I do a lot of trail hiking in the summertime. So I'm very excited to have a pair of waterproof boots that are good looking, and I really don't care about messing up. I'm going to thrash those things, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Anything on your radar this week that you're eyeing?
Man, I'm trying to lick my wounds after going like 0 for 8 on the dunks last weekend. I had 4 different people trying to get them for me, and still could not hit, which is a little unfortunate. But I'm really not trying to cop anything until we get a firm release date on like the DMP 6 and the Fire Red 5. Those are 2 shoes I'm just really itching to get. So those are kind of on the radar. Until then, I'm being my clothes crackhead self and thinking about summer clothing, which I don't need, but I like buying. So we'll see. Just hit me with those Jordans, man. I wish those didn't get pushed back. I was really looking
I struck out on the dunks. I don't really have anything like specifically on the radar right this second. I do really like the Zoom Spiridon, like the Cage Zoom Spiridon, like that like black Stussy pair will probably be a must-have for me, but no date on it, so I'm not stressing about it. But and it's one of those weird Nike running shoes that I don't think a ton of people will be super into, so hopefully it'll be easy to get.
You do love you some Sean Stussy too.
Yep. Yeah, man, I don't know. There's a lot of news stuff, but honestly, like, I think we could probably just jump right into the list of movie shoes, right?
You get everybody gets enough news feed. So yeah, let's just keep it light.
All right. Sounds good. You want to start us off?
Yeah. So we are going to kick it old school. We're going to start off with the greatest Kareem Abdul-Jabbar cameo, and it is from Bruce Lee, where he wore the Tiger Mexico 66. Everybody knows the yellow jumpsuit with the black, with the slash on his shoulder. Is it his shoulder or his ribs? But he gets like slashed by this guy with like a throwing like claw chain thing. And it's just like one of the more iconic movie outfits ever made. It inspired all the Kobe stuff, which subsequently inspired the Kyries. And it's just one of the more iconic, regardless of shoes, it's like iconic movie outfits like ever, right?
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I think if I remember right, that the one thing that I always wondered, like, I can't remember where the slashes are, but the thing that I remember the most from that fight scene is like the giant footprint on Bruce Lee's chest, like just right across his chest. But I mean, it's so like the film is Game of Death, came out in 1978, so before most of us were born, but definitely worth binging on while you're stuck at home. Anything Bruce Lee is always worth binging on, in my opinion, but that's not sneaker related. That's just me nerding out. So,
yeah. I mean, I wish I followed more Bruce Lee stuff because he's such an icon in many different cultures. And it's like, he's much big. His name is much bigger than him, right? Like you don't even have to like see Bruce Lee to know, oh, like that's that guy. And I wish I was just more involved with it, but those Tigers, man, like I'm not the biggest Tiger fan. But whenever it's in that yellow colorway, it just sparks nostalgia and makes me want to buy a pair.
Yeah, man. I think it's one of those shoes where we kind of all came up after the trend of like Nike took over from that point on, right? Like that was kind of the last of like, I don't want to say like the last like, big deal moment for Onitsuka Tiger, but like it really was like the most like, pop culture moment in their history, in my opinion. Obviously they've had a lot of things over the years, but this one to me was like on a level that, having like Kareem in the movie and the whole storyline of it, just like, I don't know. I don't see them ever getting to that level again, without some crazy shifts in the way that we shop for sneakers.
Which I don't think we're getting. So let's just keep it moving. This next movie means a lot to me. It's one of my favorite. And it's probably one of the first times I saw boobies, which is like double cool. But the Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Spicoli rocking the slip-on checkered Vans. And like my favorite quotes of all time is when he gets the pizza delivered and the teacher takes it and is like, well, if it's your time and it's my time, then it's like our time. And then the teacher, I believe it's like Mr. Head, right? No, I can't remember his name. But he then gives the pizza out to the rest of the class, and Spicoli doesn't get any. But low key, that movie's really messed up. Like the undertones of it, of like the whole like sex and like what happens. I don't want to ruin the movie, but like what goes on with it. It's like it was pretty messed up at the time. I think even now, it's like that's some like deep stuff for a comedy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and so Spicoli is played by Sean Penn, but it's like, I don't know how old he is, like 20 years old or something. It's kind of, for one, like the sneakers, like there's a game-changing moment for Vans, in my opinion, right? Like checkerboard Vans became like a must-have before the internet existed, before social media, before like, imagine like, like literally everyone wearing the same shoe because it was just the thing to have, without the spread that we have now that comes from, social media and like mass consumption. Right. I was thinking too, just to go back, we should actually, maybe we read like the rating on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think?
Let's do it. You get this one and I'll start prepping the next one.
All right. So Fast Times at Ridgemont High, released in 1982 and had a 7.2 rating on IMDb and a 78% Rotten Tomatoes rating. And according to Google, 84% like this movie. So it's pretty solid rating, to be honest. It's actually better than I would expect. I feel like this might be a movie that doesn't age well, and I would just leave that as a forewarning for anybody that watches it.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a different time, but it's still funny. It's still good. Just you have to recognize the period difference. Now, this next one here, all we really have to say is "I'll be back," and you already know what movie it is. That's how big this movie is. Terminator 1, Arnold the Governator Schwarzenegger. IMBD gives it an 8 out of 10, which I would think would be higher. It's like probably the best. Is it the best action movie of all time? Like Die Hard's up there, but like the Terminator, man, you don't get much better than Arnold.
Yeah, it's a pretty. It's hard to argue that it's not at least top 3, right? Especially considering like the time that it came out and how popular it was. Like, Terminator. I mean, yeah.
What were the shoes, though? Go ahead, lay it on us. It was a Nike.
Oh, Nike Vandal.
And was it Sarah Connor that wore them?
I believe so, yeah. It's funny because the Vandal is like I don't know. Is it like the I feel like it's like the slap-on 1980s shoe, right? It like comes and goes, you know, from like it's not like an Air Force One or a Dunk, right? Like these shoes never go away. They're regularly available. Maybe they go low in production numbers for a while, or maybe a specific, like the white on whites disappear for a while. But the Vandal is from that same era. And you know, like you can even see, like it pretty much has the same midsole, outsole, but it has the strap, has the usually is different material, but now they've done it in all sorts of materials. But it's just funny that
I think nylon.
Yeah, like typically it's nylon, but they've done like that. What's the? I'm drawing a blank. What's the material that's on the Jordan KO? Canvas. They've done like canvas Vandals, but it's just weird that it never.
No one. But my favorite Draymond Green quote ever is when Paul Pierce was retiring, and Paul Pierce made some quote about like wanting to be remembered, and Draymond was like, "You ain't Kobe. They don't love you like that." And it's like the Vandal is definitely in that same boat because you have the Dunk, but then no one loves the Vandal like that. The last shoe I can remember was the John Elliott Vandal. Came in like really premium, I think like a cream or a white and a black. Those were cool. You know, the Terminator, the silver joints with the strap. That's like that's what mine goes to when it comes to, you know, Vandals. But like the strap is it's always been off-putting. I remember in middle school somebody wearing a pair and it's being like, like, same reason why I don't wear Air Force One highs. I just don't like that strap.
That's interesting. The John Elliott joints are really nice. They're like a suede or something. Like there's like a few colorways. They're really nice. If you haven't seen them, definitely check them out. But the shoe that comes to mind for me are in Back to the Future. Doc Brown is wearing like orange Vandals. And they actually retroed the orange version in 2016 or 2017. But I always wondered, like, where did those all orange Vandals come from for Back to the Future? Considering, you know, obviously the Bruins that Michael J. Fox wore, and then, you know, we'll get into like the Nike mag and stuff. But that's the one that comes to mind for me for some reason. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just overly obsessed with Back to the Future.
It's definitely a great movie. We'll get more into that later. The next movie here is my favorite Michael J. Fox movie. I'm sorry to Back to the Future, but Teen Wolf is just so corny and 80s. It's just so. It's like everything I want, right? It's the best Wolfman, Jekyll and Hyde. It's like the best makeup, like real world prosthetic. It's not literally the best, but I just think it's so cool. As a white guy who's never been able to dunk, to think that one day I can be hairy as an Eastern European and get hot like that on a full moon. That's a beautiful meme. That's a beautiful thing, man. It's a dream.
Oh man, that's not where I thought you were going with it, but yeah, you know.
Cares about me.
So yeah, Teen Wolf is definitely a classic. It's one of those 80s movies that's probably really corny if you've never seen it. But
the super fat center who's just like, it's a ragtag group. I'm not even looking at it. My brain is out of him. Super ragtag group. And like, he wears the Adidas tourney because there's a lot of basketball in the movie.
Yeah.
And here I say, it is one of the best utilizations of basketball in a movie. It's hard to find basketball.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, in that sense. I mean, I don't have any desire to be a wolf or anything, or be as hairy as Eastern European, as Robbie puts it. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I guess should stick to my word here. So IMDb gave it 6.1 out of 10. Ooh, Rotten Tomatoes a 44%, not very good. But Google users give it an 87%. So
they got it right.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, let's be real. It's really not great, but it's a capsule in time. A young, healthy Michael J. Fox. He's just so much fun. That's why he was so good in Back to the Future. When he's on camera, he just like gives off positive vibes.
True. So speaking of positive vibes, Goonies never say die.
Never. Ever. What really makes me mad and makes me a little resentful towards my mother is I had a Goonies poster in my bedroom when I left for college, and I came back my first break and they took all that shit down and they got rid of my Goonies poster, and I was so mad. Huge Goonies fan. You can actually go through the Goonies caves if you're in the Pacific Northwest. You can do a tour in the summer where you go through the whole movie set in Astoria, Oregon. Caveat to that, you can go to the Goonies house, but the current owners set up like a blockade and all these signs saying if you get caught on the premises, they'll like call the cops on you. And it really makes me mad because you know what house you bought. It's not like an accident. You bought the Goonies house. Like, people are going to want to go to that house. And
right?
They just cut it off like buttheads. It makes me so angry. But came out in 1985. Google seems to be the most lenient when it comes to reviews because they give it a 91. Rotten Tomatoes is straight tripping with a 71. That makes no sense to me. And IMBD, I always get that backwards. IMDb gives it a 7.8 out of 10. And I think that's just blasphemy because you get some of the best utilization of like practical tools, like man-made tools in all of them. Like, man, Data's whole outfit is just head to toe superior to anybody else's outfit. He had the Nike Air Skyforce highs that would release oil from the heels. Like, classic movie moment.
Yep.
The truffle shuffle is just, we can go on and on and on. That movie, hey yo guys.
Exactly. So I'm 100% with you. Like, I mean, even at like 91% or whatever from Google, I feel like you're selling Goonies short. Goonies is a like 9.8 or higher out of 10, in my opinion. It's got everything you want in a movie. And it's got a bunch of like kid actors that became like famous people in Hollywood. So
okay, Toves, Mr. Frodo. Yeah, that movie, man, is just how anybody gives it less than like a 95. Because it has action, it has suspense, it has comedy, it has a little bit of horror, it has everything you can need, and great acting. Not just the youth cast, but everybody in that movie is so good.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. That's one of my favorite movies. It's probably only been like 3 months since I last watched it. So
you're doing it right. You're living your best life.
So what's next for us?
Next movie we have Alien and the Reebok Alien Stomper. I just recently watched all of this Alien probably like a year and a half ago, and it was super good. Like, I definitely enjoy watching aliens birth out of people's abdomen. but every time, man, it's like, I guess it's horror movie 101. People have to make dumb decisions. But there's like 5 different times in that movie. You're like, yo, why? Why did you go and do that? Like, why is it going this way? Again, try not to give spoilers. But it's just like movie logic, man, and plot armor are 2 crazy things.
Yeah. I mean, this was one of like the first movies I remember like kind of freaking me out a little bit because I was like, wait, what? Like how? What? I don't. Yeah. But in hindsight, I actually like the Alien Stomper. I don't need like the whole like, calf high version that's in the movie, but the like actual release pair that Reebok came out with is pretty dope. I like almost all the shoes that have like weird, lace covers and straps and Velcro and all sorts of that stuff. So there's definitely it's shoes over the movie for me.
2016, we got that retro, and they've actually done a couple. They've done like a yellow joints. They've done movie traditional. They've done like worn pair looking. It's just not my jam because I don't wear Reebok. I'll say it a million times, but I'm definitely going to go more movie than shoe in this case. What do you see on IMDb about it?
On IMDb, it looks like, let's see here. The original had an 8.4 out of 10. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it had a 97%.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know how that happens, but I'm going to go with that's misleading. But maybe it's just me.
I mean, Sigourney Weaver's a babe, so certified babe.
Oh, wait, hang on. Wait, did I read this wrong? Okay, hang on. Alien on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. IMDb 8.3 out of 10. Is that what I said?
Yes.
Okay. And then let me make sure that I got this right. Rotten Tomatoes, Rotten Tomatoes 97%. I don't know. It's crazy. I thought I misread that, but
it's good, man. I mean, maybe it's not our genre. I know I don't like being scared in movies. I'm more of a Captain America kind of guy than an alien kind of guy. So different strokes for different folks. This next movie isn't for everybody. If you are not woke, this probably isn't going to be your movie. I mean, it's just down to the print. It's just one of the most signature movies when it comes to like a director and a film. You think of like Hitchcock and The Birds, and you Do the Right Thing and Spike Lee, the 1989 film that made the Air Jordan 4 even more famous when it got ran over by the bike. Like, yo, my shoes. That movie was crazy. I'm drawing a blank because I haven't watched it since 2012. And I know that because I took a film class and we had to watch it all the way through. And so it's been a while. I'm a little fuzzy on it, but Google gives it an 86. IMDb gives it a 7.9. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 93. It's probably the movie that made Spike Lee who he is.
I mean, definitely one of his most like successful movies in terms of like the cultural acceptance of him as a creator, right? Like, I don't know how the movie did financially. I don't know if it was like, in Hollywood it made him like legit, but in terms of just like the reference point of him being like, kind of like a go-to conversation starter amongst like pop culture. Like that for sure was the result of the movie. And obviously the Jordan 4 is in the movie, but like the guys everybody's wearing all sorts of like random heat, you know, like I know the Revolution's in there, Air Force Ones are in there. I want to say like the Medicine Ball trainers are in there, or maybe Spike wore them while like directing the movie or something. There's a lot of sneaker history in Do the Right Thing. Personally, this is like just an incredible movie. I mean, I would suggest this to anybody, even if you weren't watching sneakers. I just thought it was a great movie way back in the day, even.
Maybe I'm stupid, but it's more digestible than She's Gotta Have It. I couldn't follow She's Gotta Have It all that well. But I think Black Klansman is better than Do the Right Thing. I'd have to rewatch the movie to like be able to compare it more, but I watched Black Klansman 3 times. That movie was great. So if you haven't seen that one, go check out that Spike Lee joint. And if you want to be, you know, historically entertained, he did Malcolm X too. So go watch that one. He's just done so many great movies, but go watch Do the Right Thing, and by proxy, go watch Black Klansman.
Yeah, for sure. Both those are really good. I actually really liked Malcolm X. I think in general, Spike Lee is just somebody that I am always going to appreciate his opinion and his way of telling stories. So, you know, I don't know like if that is because of all of the nostalgic ties and like growing up in that era, or if just like he's really good at what he does. I'm not trying to dismiss that, but like, you know, like there's like all these different things that come together to make and shape your view on things. And I think that, you know, the Morris Blackman stuff with Michael Jordan obviously is like hugely important to probably most of the people that are going to listen to this episode. But, you know, his ability to pull like different people in different stories that are so relevant everywhere, right, is like one of those things that I just think I don't think anybody does it as well as he does.
So on a last thought, we throw around the term authentic storytelling a lot when it comes to shoes. And I think Spike Lee is one of the originators of authentic storytelling, not with shoes, but with his film. And I feel like at the time, people, you know, because, you know, Hollywood's mostly white. They had to find a way to describe his work while like putting a little asterisk to it. Like, oh, it's authentic storytelling. Like, no, it's just great cinematic storytelling that happens to be really authentic. Like, I feel like a lot of the times we try to like distinguish things to put a proxy to what the really good thing is, to kind of maybe like downgrade it or to sidestep what an end goal is. And I think he flipped that. And now like the term like authentic storytelling is something everybody wants to have. You want to have authentic storytelling in whatever script you're creating. But Spike literally told authentic stories.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why it's so good. So next movie here, a lot chiller in tone. Your favorite movie, apparently, Back to the Future 2, the Nike Air Mag, the hoverboard, your mom trying to make out with you. No, that's the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah,
that's the first one.
Isn't it funny that like in like hindsight, some of the weird shit that you see in movies where you're just like, wait, what is that? How did we not see this as a weird thing back then?
Right. And your dad's straight up looking for boobies in the tree. Like, man, like, I don't want to know what my dad was doing when he was young. I really don't want to know. But like, yeah, that movie would definitely make you think about your parents differently. Movies, they all would.
Yeah. But I mean, it's definitely, I don't know if it's like my absolute favorite movie, but it's up there for me. Like, this is one of those movies that, on top of the sneaker stuff, like I was a big Michael J. Fox fan. Like there's a lot of backstory to that maybe I'll get into another day. But like he was just an important figure, even like in like my relationship with my family. So he kind of just became this person that I always like looked up to, and because of the movie, you know, obviously there's a bunch of sneaker stuff in there, like we talked about the Vandals on Doc Brown and the Bruins that Michael J. Fox wore, and then, you know, the fast forward to, you know, 2015 or whatever, and you know, the real self-lacing, auto-lacing Nike mag coming out. And then for me personally, getting to like do the podcast with Tiffany Beers, who created that shoe on Outside the Box, was really awesome. So it's just been a constant thing for me. So there's a lot of stuff that makes this really important to me, but I do think the movie itself is just really good too.
Yeah, the shoes really need no introduction. The Air Mag has had a lot of fanfare. So we'll just keep it moving. This one is probably one of my favorite movies as a kid. White Men Can't Jump, the Air Command Force, Billy Hoyle. I love Woody, man. Like, I will watch a Woody Harrelson movie over so many other leading actor movies. I don't know what it is about him, but he's like trashy and awesome at the same time, like trashy and classy. He's like the Bud Light of actors. You love it, but it's like a little bit off because it's Bud Light. But the whole Sidney Dean, I believe.
Yep.
It was Wesley Snipes. Oh man, I'm Daisy Perez.
Oh, Rosie Perez, yeah.
Perez. She's asking Billy, he's like, how much you love me? Infinity. Man, Billy, infinity plus one. There's like so many, there's moments in that movie. I'd say there's like 5 different moments where you're like, damn, that's movie gold. I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah, definitely. And like sneaker wise, like the Command Force is super dope. Yeah, Sidney Dean, Wesley Snipes wears the one of my favorite like 90s basketball shoes, the Nike Air Flight Light. And like that, like bright yellow, it's like white and bright yellow citron, I think is the colorway. But the shoes that pop up in there too, like if you watch the whole movie, you can see kind of everything that released in like 91, 92, like the Jordan 6s pop up in it, the infrared 6s, and there's just a lot of stuff like that, which, you know, for people that are into sneakers, if you haven't seen this, I would say this is definitely a must watch.
And when you go and look for those shoes, look at the clothing too. Like a lot of that stuff is relevant now, and I bet you 10 years ago, nobody would have thought that, but here we are with a lot of those styles back in flavor. So 76 Rotten Tomatoes, tripping. 6.8 on IMDb, tripping. But Google has it as a 90. So my Google people really showing out. But that movie's just so funny, dude. It's just like so many points. And it's like, it's light humor. It's not like out in your face slapstick comedy. It's just like, it's a little dry, but it's good. I don't know.
No, you're right. It's just good. People should check it out if they haven't seen it. What's next?
We got a lot of movies here.
Yeah.
So it's The Sandlot. The Great Hambino. You Play Ball Like a Girl. The whole S'mores, everything. That was amazing. Yeah, The Sandlot, PF Flyers. If you haven't seen The Sandlot, you're not American. I'm just kidding, but it's like that movie is apple pie.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's by far one of my favorite. Like I'm like a huge baseball fan, and it's like the most relatable kid's story I could possibly imagine, because it's just like, yeah. But yeah, I think let's see. I didn't get a chance to pull up the reviews, but I'm guessing
We don't need to. It's great.
yeah, yeah. It's did we talk about the shoes in it? PF Flyers center, the PF Flyers center high.
You broke up pretty.
All right. Well, the PF Flyers center high is what's in the movie, and I think there's a couple of others in there too. It's definitely worth watching the background if you want to check out some more. But 93% on Google, 7.8 on IMDb, and 61 on Rotten Tomatoes. What's next?
Benny the Jet Rodriguez says that the next movie is Forrest Gump. Everybody, so the Cortez, I would say to most people, are just the Forrest Gumps in different colors. Like that suit, eating the box of chocolates with the Cortez on, talking to everybody that walks up and sits on that bus step is just Tom Hanks at his finest.
Yep.
If you haven't seen that one, you might be a little young, but I really recommend, because you get a fun look at history and you get to see what happens when you drink too much Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the better movies on this list, in my opinion, because it's just a lot of things that aren't talked about in just dealing with other people, that it kind of makes you realize, like, this dude just had it together, but you thought he didn't have it together, I guess the best way to put it. Also, one of my favorite quotes in any movie of all time is in Forrest Gump, and it's when Lieutenant Dan is like fighting the storm on the top of the boat, and he's like yelling at God, going, "You call this a storm?" Like, to me, that's like one of the most amazing. I'm overhyping it so much, but I use that line in a lot of communications with my family, so that's why it's important to me. Anyway, next up.
It's an epic moment.
Yeah, it is.
We shouldn't say why it's so epic. You have to see the movie, but altogether, it's a very powerful scene. And the aftermath is beautiful too. And it becomes very lucrative. And that's all we need to say.
Yep.
Next movie, we could say one sentence on it each. Space Jam, the Jordan 11, Jordan 9, Jordan 2. It's Space Jam.
Yeah, man. There's
Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan. Go watch
it. And Bill Murray. I mean, it's just kind of a classic. I didn't watch Space Jam when I was younger, so I just watched it recently in the last couple of years, and it's just cool to see all the Jordans in there being almost like highlighted. Man, it almost feels like a commercial at times, but in a good way.
It's very authentic product placement without it being authentic at all.
Yeah, especially considering the next one on the list is George of the Jungle. And although I love the product placement in this one, it seems a little odd that you're talking about George of the Jungle and the Nike Air more up-tempo.
Okay, in the defense of the film, if you were to give somebody that was from Tarzan, who is Tarzan from the jungle, wouldn't the Air more up-tempo kind of be the perfect shoe to really alienate somebody from what a shoe is? Because you could give them a Chuck Taylor, and yeah, it's going to be novel, but you give them that shoe, like, what the hell is this thing? Like, it's going to really hammer home the duck out of water.
That's
kind of trope.
No, that's a good point. I just was not a fan of this movie, so it's probably just me. My haterization is just shining through right now as I speak on it.
Would you rather watch this or Moneyball?
Wait, this or Moneyball?
Monkey
Oh,
Ball.
Monkey Ball.
It's another really bad Brendan Fraser movie.
Well, I would definitely choose this. But if I was going to choose a really bad Brendan Fraser movie, I would choose Encino Man.
You're insinuating that Encino Man's a bad movie by saying that.
I mean, it's not a great movie. It's there's laughs to be had, but it's not a great movie.
Another movie with Sean Ashton.
Yeah, Encino Man. Yeah. Yep.
And then Pauly Shore. No, not Pauly Shore.
Yeah, Pauly Shore. You got it. Yep.
Yeah, Pauly Shore.
Because Pauly Shore's name.
Fantastic film. That needs to go down.
Well, and Pauly Shore's name was Stoney, right? So it's like,
yes,
yeah. All right, Encino Man was better than I gave it credit for. If I can remember these things about it, it was better than I give it credit for. Plus, he does skateboard in the film, so like, yeah, there's some good movies in that movie, or there's some good moments in that movie, I should say.
And the chick is a babe. I don't know what her name is, but definitely had a crush on her when I was younger. So the next one is another shoe movie. It could take one sentence. He Got Game, the Foamposite Pro, and the Air Jordan 13 by the same name. Ray Allen and Denzel Washington. Like, come on. It's the best basketball movie. No questions asked. Go home.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really even need to say anything. If you haven't seen this, then you're missing out. Obviously, like, this is actually one of my favorite movie soundtracks too. There's a lot of Public Enemy. There's a lot of just like great 90s hip hop. So definitely, this is definitely towards the top of the list of like first things to watch while you're on quarantine or, banned from going outside from the coronavirus. So,
especially since there's no sports. So this is a good time to watch a sports movie.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So
this next,
go ahead.
Is like your favorite. No, I was just trying to say, you just watched this one recently, so you're very familiar with this next one.
Yeah, so my girlfriend had never seen Big with Tom Hanks, and there's some gems in it. It's also because we had a conversation a month or two back, and I was basically asking myself if you could go watch old films or old, sitcoms and stuff that you really enjoyed as a kid or as a teenager or whatever, if you would actually like them again. So that's what got us into watching Big. I thought it was pretty cute, like it's not like it's not like as exciting as a He Got Game or a White Man Can't Jump or something on this list. But in terms of like the storyline, it's basically like the kid wishes to be big, wishes to be an adult, and his wish is granted. And then you kind of like see what that actually means. But there's a great scene where he's wearing a pair of Nike Air Force 2s, and yeah, you just got to watch it. Even if you just Google, we'll put a link to it, but like even if you just Google Big and the piano scene, to me that's like a genius moment. But anyway, we should move on.
I really like Mike. It's really weird. I had Bow Wow when he was little Bow Wow. I had his first CD when it came out. So I was a fan. And like Mike, fulfilled so many fantasies. And you'll see that a lot of this circles back to basketball fantasies and being able to do stuff that I never could. But like Mike lets you feel like you could do those things when you're a little kid. And we've all had that dream of being like larger than life or playing in the NBA as an 11-year-old or going to the moon as an 11-year-old. Whatever that dream is, it really kind of plays into that angle. Young Bow Wow is an orphan, and he finds Michael Jordan's Nike Blazers, and he puts them on, and it lets him play like Mike. It's not a very complex script or plot, but just a really fun movie. If you have a kid and you want to do something together, I would really recommend sitting on the couch and watching this one.
Yep, I'd co-sign that.
The shoes aren't that cool, but it's like there's a lot of cool shoes on like Jason Kidd and like Dirk Nowitzki. I think Steve Nash is in it.
Yep.
Elton Brand. No, I think I'm wrong about Elton Brand. But just there's lots of NBA players. It's a lot of fun. Go check it out.
Next up, we got Kill Bill with the Onitsuka Tiger, Tai Chi, Ellie. This is I'm trying to think who's wearing it in the. I honestly don't.
Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman. That's right.
I've seen this movie so many times. This is without a doubt in my top 5 all-time movies. This is right before she cuts off Lucy Liu's skull, which is super dope. But it pays homage to the first shoe on our list, Bruce Lee's Tiger Mexico 66s. Uma Thurman wears the same type jumpsuit, but she has a sword instead of nunchucks, and she obliterates all competition. It's just such a cool movie. Quentin Tarantino. She just kills so many people in so many cool ways. It's an awesome movie.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty good movie. I think the shoes I think it's just cool that they paid homage to Bruce Lee. Like that was like a nice touch that they didn't have to do, but obviously made it that much cooler for like that storyline of her wearing the same suit and everything. So next up we got another one of my favorites. I'm a big like Mel Brooks fan, so a lot of the like Spaceballs type movies and things like that were just like ridiculous over the top comedy. But Robin Hood Men in Tights, it's crazy that this came out in 1993 because it makes me feel really old. But most people don't even remember that Dave Chappelle is in the movie, and he plays Achu and pulls out the Reebok Pump Omnizone in the midst of like a battle, and it's just like a hilarious epic moment in the movie where he's like time out, kind of. So if you're looking for a laugh, this is a good way to go. If you're looking for something a little more serious, maybe not child approved, Kill Bill Volume 1, the way to go.
They're both great. If you ever had Comedy Central in the early 2000s and you had nothing to do during the day, then you for sure seen Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yep. Yep. And if you enjoyed it, you've probably watched it dozens of times since. Or is that just me?
No, it's so good. This next one I had on DVD. It's one of the few DVDs I ever bought, and my sister stole it from me. So I only had it for like a month and a half. I never saw it again. But it's The Life Aquatic. Everybody should know the tale of Steve Azuzu. Him and his entire crew were the Adidas ROM and a special edition Azuzu colorway with the print going up the side of the shoe. Yeah, man, it's a really hard movie to describe. It's a really, really out there, beautiful to look at movie.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's a Wes Anderson movie. So if you are familiar with Wes Anderson, he's eclectic, right? Like his movies are very kind of different than your average, like storyline. But yeah, like Owen Wilson is in it. He's hilarious. I forget, I think Kate Blanchett is in it, right?
Yeah.
It's a really good movie, but it's definitely something that you've got to pay attention to, because it's not like I don't want to say you have to be like glued to it, but like there's just a lot of ins and outs that seem to be woven through it. And, it's funny and weird and quirky and all that stuff. So, for me, it's probably top 10 in this list. But I will say that if you're going to watch something similar, the next one on the list, Lost in Translation, also with Bill Murray, is probably it's definitely one of my favorite movies. It's just weird, and it's like I don't know. Sneakers are not a big thing in Lost in Translation, but Bill Murray wears one of the most like obscure. Keep in mind, this movie came out in 2003. He wears one of the most obscure like HTM Nike woven collaborations that you're just like, wait, how did this happen? So you got to watch for it in the film. But shout out to my guy, Aaron Nojima, that helped me start sneaker history back in the day. He actually wrote a post, so we'll link to that in the description. But it's one of those moments where I think kind of poignantly made like collaborations cool to, try to place them in movies, right? Like everything is placed in movies, don't get me wrong, but taking it to the next level and like seeing collaborations placed in movies wasn't really like a given thing. I don't know. Have you seen Lost in Translation? I'm rambling a little bit, but
No, do your thing, boo boo. I was just thinking, I've never seen that movie. I've seen Life Aquatic a handful of times, but I've never seen Lost in Translation. So I'm going to be one to take your advice and check that movie out.
Yeah, it's definitely worth your time. So I don't know if we didn't add this to the list, but I'm going to throw it in before we hit our last one. And it's Blue Chips with Nick Nolte, Shaq, Penny. I forget who else was in it. You remember that? Blue Chips?
I know I've seen the cover of it, but I've never seen it.
So it's basically like a college basketball kind of storyline. Obviously, if you're familiar with basketball, like Blue Chips is kind of like the name of the best prospects, right? And it's just a story about that. I don't want to give too much away, but it's got Penny and Shaq in it. To me, that in itself is worth watching, but there's so many cameos in that movie. Bobby Hurley, Rick Pitino, I think Larry Bird's in there, Allen Houston, Dick Vitale. There's a ton of people in it. So if you're a basketball fan, this is definitely one that'll like scratch the itch for missing the game right now. And there's a lot of shoes in there as well. So.
Man, I'm going to check that out because you just named off everybody I love. Weird fact, I've always liked Allen Houston. It's a really random fact, but I've always enjoyed him as a player. But who cares? So last movie, the most recent movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with the Air Jordan 1. I did not even try to cop, and I feel so damn dumb because I love Spider-Man. Like any normal person, I love Spider-Man. and an Air Jordan 1 OG high. Shit, sign me up. I really should have been more astute there, but it's an acid trip without taking acid. It's very visually engaging, and it's a great movie to watch if you're with your girlfriend or boyfriend or a kid, even your parents. It's a really enjoyable movie, and the soundtrack is fantastic. So this would be probably one of my biggest recommendations. It's in my top 5 of all these movies. So what do you think about it?
For sure. I mean, I think we would both agree that we saved the best for last on this list. It's a, you know, the storyline to me was really, really good. Like you said, the soundtrack is amazing. And like you said, Jordan 1, Spider-Man. I mean, I tried to get them. I wasn't able to get them at retail, and I didn't follow up to find them. But I think this is a shoe that's honestly still like pretty high on my wish list if I can hunt down a pair without paying an arm and a leg for it. But yeah, this is like, I think this is one of the like most universally great movies on the list, right? Like we've talked about kind of like, you know, with your girlfriend, with your kids, like this would be one of those movies where you could literally sit down with anybody and it's a really solid movie through and through for the whole family.
What's the max you would pay? Like, would you pay $300 for a Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse one?
I don't know, because it's so tough, right? Like, I want to say yes, but it's also really hard to spend like $300 on a Jordan 1 because I know that there's so many Jordan 1s that are just always out there. If that makes sense. But
yeah,
I think the shoe itself, like I wanted it from the beginning just because I don't have a pair of Chicago 1s and I thought, oh, this is cool. I like Spider-Man. But then when I saw the film, it was like, fuck, I got to get these, right? And so, I mean, they typically are in like the $350 range in my size. Honestly, if I found like, this would be one of those shoes where I would happily take one of those like worn once or twice for $250 kind of things. That'd be dope. Yeah. But, so that pretty much wraps up the list. Let us know if we're missing. Obviously, we're missing things because we don't watch enough movies. But you know, we're both going to be like stuck in the house for the next foreseeable future. So we're going to start branching out. We might even have to update this list because we're going to be watching so many movies over the next few weeks, I'm assuming. But let us know what we missed and if there's anything else out there that we should be watching, sneakers or otherwise. Honestly, like I'm always up for suggestions. So anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Robbie?
If anybody has a pair of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 1s worn once or twice, follow.
Yeah, definitely. But so yeah, thank you all for listening. My name's Nick Engvall. You can follow me at Nick Engvall on all platforms, NickEngvall. More importantly, just follow at Sneaker History on all the platforms. If you're really enjoying what you're hearing, give us a follow or consider donating to our Patreon page, patreon.com/sneakerhistory. We upload an extra episode or two every month on there. And then we also do random content throughout the month to kind of balance that out. And it's a good place for you to get a little bit more access to us and have a little bit more conversation with us. And, but in general, like just if you want to support and more than just subscribing, definitely check that out. But we appreciate you all. And Robbie, let them know how they can find you.
You can find me at RAHBEE702 on all platforms, and make sure you're following Sneaker History.
Right on. We appreciate all of you, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Bye.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, I wanted to ask a couple favors of you. If you're interested in more content from the Sneaker History crew, become a member of our Patreon page where we post daily content, drop exclusive episodes, and host monthly giveaways. We'll even help you hunt for your grails. Check us out at patreon.com/sneakerhistory. Also, make sure you sign up for our email newsletter at sneakerhistory.com/email. We send out weekly updates on the footwear business and what we're working on here at Sneaker History. Last but not least, take a second to tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how much it means to someone, and it might even plant the seeds for something even bigger. As always, we appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.